Hello everyone, and now welcome to a game at Tekko versus Lemes. This game taking place here on Springtime 1.3. We have Tekko spawning as the blue human player on the top left-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Lemes spawning as the yellow human player on the bottom right. Yellow versus blue, human versus human as this game gets underway. Now, I do not know the backgrounds or stories of these two particular players. I believe this game was taken from the Back to WarCraft Cups. Shout out to just other members in the community making this great making this great game still relevant here 20 plus years later, as we are looking in a human versus human mirror match. Now, human versus human mirror match is an interesting scenario because of how much it's changed over the years. We've seen a lot of development of this Paladin rifle build, as in years past it was just almost a Spellbreaker versus Spellbreaker, which came to be a pretty boring, to be honest. I didn't like seeing Spellbreaker versus Spellbreaker, just because if you didn't go for Spellbreakers, your opponent could easily transition into Sorceresses and then win the battle that way, as Sorceresses would then be able to deal with those Knights fairly easily. Coming back around, Forest Troll High Priest going to get surrounded and cleaned up pretty fast. We're picking up a Forest Troll or Ice Troll Priest here as well, cleaning things up. There goes that Ice Forest Troll Shadow Priest, and then now or a Forest Troll High Priest, getting that finished off here, as now we see some Shaman and some other units here as well. All right, this Shaman actually, is it meant from this particular creep camp? No, it isn't. This is actually a little bit of an unlucky pull here. He's actually pulling creeps from a separate creep camp that are trying to head back. I believe, yeah, they're off from this creep camp here instead. And by fighting this two creep camps at once, yeah, the Paladin will get to level 2, but he's also suffering much more damage than he's supposed to. It is going to be Devotion Aura now picking up a farm as the units are trying to retreat back. Perhaps Tekko knew exactly what was happening and purposely aggroed those creeps over. I think that's what happened there. One footman bringing on an entire additional green creep camp, causing a little bit of problems and disruption there. Meanwhile, Tekko is setting up a farm over at his own neck of the woods, and he has taken a bit of a lead overall. Coming back around here, Paladin did finish off that footman who has more experience. The Archmage does, even as he cleared out his own green creep camp off right here. Lone footman now looking to retreat back. Archmage now going to head off to the north side, perhaps to try and clear out this Sasquatch creep camp. And in time here, going to perhaps drop a water elemental. Here we are. Here we go. Getting ready to go, taking down this Sasquatch and this Ice Troll Priest, and perhaps trying to set up an expansion. Paladin wants to bring over a lot more harassment, but a Paladin with a Talisman of Evasion and some footmen may not be able to do really all that much. Sasquatch going to get taken down there, and there it is going to get taken down. There's level 3 now on the Archmage. Archmage should be looking to pull back, grab the Claws of Attack +5. There you are. There you go. Now finishing off the remainder of these units here, as we see some Holy Light trying to save some lower units. All right, Forest Troll High Priest, is it going to get out another shot there? Footman about to get taken down. It gets taken down easily, as there is still a charge going back the other way. Low hit point Footman there. Forest Troll High or Ice Troll Priest about to get taken down as well, trying to double back around, make it a Holy Light to try and save that unit, as the Ice Troll Priest back into the green zone. All right, Tech to Tier 2 has already started and now halfway done. This is true for both sides, so it didn't look like it was a true expansion attempt, as opposed to trying to just militia clear and then bring back a little bit of gold. 14 workers compared to 13. Tekko could try and set up an expansion here, as the footmen are now trying to retreat back out. Paladin does have enough for another Holy Light, as we see a purge going down onto that water elemental. Archmage desperately wants to get up to level 4, or just do a little bit more creeping and then continue to carry that hero level advantage. However, that Archmage has suffered quite a bit of damage, as it is now backing up again. There goes another purge, but I think it went on to a water elemental here, as the Archmage could pick up a Ring of Superiority. Not quite sure why it hasn't done so. Also using a Rejuvenation Potion and a Clarity Potion as well. Leaving behind that one item there, as we see a lone hit point footman, or low hit point lone footman, gonna get finished off here. Paladin, and almost halfway to level 3 now. Meanwhile, Archmage is already sitting at level 3, using a Clarity Potion and a Rejuvenation Potion. He could get disrupted, thereby losing quite a bit of mana potential, as we see a Holy Light trying to save another unit here. The yellow human able to pick up 2 Ice Troll Priests here for a lot more heals. Meanwhile, low hit point Footman constantly getting finished off, one taken down by the creeps as we see the transition now into Rifleman again. A lot of action early on in this game, back and forth, as we can see a little bit of focus fire there, but the 2 water elementals unable to deal enough damage to finish off a low hit point Footman here, as the Paladin accidentally getting into harm's way may end up getting taken down and denied. Archmage pushing with those 2 water elementals, but 1 water elemental will be coming to an end here in just a moment. What is the Archmage looking to do? Archmage does have that pendant of energy, and well, perhaps going to drop a second water elemental here to buy a little bit of time. This water elemental down to 220 some odd hit points, now looking to retreat back, could be brought back into the fight here, or perhaps try to clear out some of these other creep camps, but it is still too close to the yellow base. All right, we are looking at a tech to tier 2 already done. We are going into dual Arcane Sanctums. Meanwhile, a single Arcane Sanctum by yellow, as we see a Blood Mage for that Siphon mana, tunneling mana into that Paladin here. Archmage now trying to punish his opponent with those Claws of Attack +5. We see a Blood Mage as well. So dual Blood Mages out on the battlefield to try and, well, take mana away from your opponent. That Paladin sitting at level 2 still, not going to have that 400 hit point heal, and that is going to be a major setback. That 400 hit point heal then helps the Blood Mage not have to work so hard to try and constantly heal, as we see a bit of Siphon mana getting underway here. Siphon mana taken away from that Ice Troll Priest. All right, could get 1 more Siphon mana, get a little bit more mana taken away from his opponent. I believe the cooldown, yes, there you are, there you go. Finish off the remaining units. Ice Troll Priest now out of mana, and that Paladin, well, nicely topped off. Paladin will stay at level 2. Does have a dual Gloves of Haste. One of those items may be given to the Blood Mage a little bit later, as the Paladin's auto attack is not really that scary right now. Blood Mage coming back around. Archmage dropping in some water elementals, and we are going to be looking at triple water elementals for quite some time. Blood Mage may try to siphon mana on the Blood Mage here, and here we are. Here we go. We're going to see that siphon mana chain. Yes, we are. Archmage can still be dropping in plenty of water elementals here, as we see the, well, Blood Mage get up to level 2. Are we looking at Flame Strike? No Flame Strike, as there's not quite enough spell breakers to really make any good sign of it. There's another siphon mana here, and blue definitely having a bit of the advantage now, as both sides are fighting their way through. All right, in comes yellow, trying to get in some siphon mana here. Ice Paladin needs just a little bit more experience, and once it gets up to level 3, those heals will be significantly better, as it will be able to heal up 400 hit points per heal there. Priest now joining in on the battlefield as well. Sorceress trying to retreat back here. Siphon mana between these two. Blood Mage just going back and forth, trying to take away mana from one target and then dumping it back into another, as yellow is holding on to this ever so barely. Reinforcement still now coming back out here onto the battlefield. Siphon mana in, or is that, I can't tell if that's in or from right now. Oh, into the Paladin. Paladin getting a little bit more mana, as the Blood Mage could be in a bit of trouble. He needs to try and retreat back. Still trying to give more mana into a Priest now, as a Holy Light should be inbound onto that Blood Mage again. Sorceress still continuing this fight here. Footmen really trying to dive on in. Footmen are not using Defend, or some of them are using Defend, not all of them, as we see just constant siphon mana between these targets once more. Paladin low on mana. Archmage, well, with Brilliance Aura, still able to get a little bit more mana going, but it looks as though the yellow Blood Mage continuing to siphon mana off of that Archmage, now unable to drop a Water Elemental. There goes a Sorceress there, as the units are still trying to retreat back. A Banish onto a low hit point Rifleman, and now trying to give additional mana here, as a reinforcing Sorceress ends up getting taken down, getting lost in transit. Scroll of Town Portal coming back the other way. It looks as though some units are trying to retreat back, and the Fireball will not hit. A little bit of a reset there, as siphon mana going into the Archmage, who did drop that Pendant of Energy, getting up more mana, and then gonna pick it, or should pick it back up. He forgets it. Oh, he dropped the Water Elemental. That's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to pick up the Water Elemental and pick up the Pendant and then drop the Water Elemental, as you have more mana to use overall. All right, fighting from inside the base here. It looks like it is still going to be 2 bases to 2 bases, but we are at Castle by yellow. Yellow should perhaps be trying to go for some Knights here. Knights are a great addition to deal with these Spellbreakers, and then once the Spellbreakers are gone, well, once the spellbreakers are gone, you can get some sorceresses for yourself. Those spellbreaker range, as the riflemen are trying to break their way through. More siphon mana. Blood Mage has a good lock on that paladin. Paladin has nowhere to go to try and break that link here, as the units are now making their way out. All right, damage could get racking up. Militia now being reinforced by blue, so militia coming in from the far side. Sorceress is coming in as well, and well, yellow is constantly getting pressured here. Militia now trying to retreat back. No guard towers, no arcane towers, as the peasants all turning back to their normal selves. All right, more fighting getting underway. Water Elemental is going to clean up some of these peasants here as the Archmage inches closer to level 4. May not matter if this Blood Mage stays at level 1 unless this Blood Mage gets up to level 3. Once level 2 siphon mana is on the table from yellow, suddenly the amount that you're draining increases significantly, and then problems will arise. Towers are getting constructed, so blue trying to finish things off, building up a tower inside of the base of yellow within range of everything else. So many bodies here as we're looking at level 2 now on the Blood Mage of blue. Rifleman trying to shoot his way free. More riflemen just getting added out here onto the battlefield. But if the riflemen are not focusing down the sorceresses and the priest, they are not using their attacks wisely. But Paladin down to 78 hit points, down to 52, and that Talisman of Evasion must have, well, helped quite a bit as he is somehow still staying alive. Blood Mage now looking to retreat back here as we are looking at more attacks. And now we are looking at a Mountain King by yellow. So yellow is now getting up a Mountain King as that third and final hero. He could suddenly join out in on the battlefield and suddenly perhaps turn things around as well. Water Elemental trying to get some splash damage here. There's a Stormbolt onto the Archmage. Archmage could be in trouble here, trying to find a way out, and he's getting body blocked by some of his own units. Another Stormbolt could be inbound here. No, Scroll of Town Portal used. So the Mountain King's sudden appearance makes a big, big difference, forcing a Scroll of Town Portal by blue. And that is going to end up changing things around here as well. Blood Mage going to perhaps lose quite a bit of mana, but gets to level 3. And that's the last thing you want to see. Your towers that you had finally constructed, but you were forced to leave because of the sudden appearance of the Mountain King stormbolting the Archmage, now giving level 3 to the Blood Mage, meaning that Blood Mage is going to be able to siphon mana much more effectively. All right, this game is closer than I thought it would be. Null Warden getting drained by quite a bit of mana, and now we need to see some heals onto that Paladin as well. I don't know what these priests are doing, but without, well, they do have adept training. Perhaps the Blood Mage needs to siphon some mana into some priest for some additional healing. Back around on the other side here, we are looking at 1-0 upgrades for yellow. So yellow does have a little bit of an upgrade advantage. Are we going to see some Stormbolts go down? There goes a Sorceress already as the Paladin finally getting healed back up. A little bit of Devotion or a little bit of Dispel, trying to break some of that slow as the Paladin still wandering around here. Siphon mana going from back and forth. The Blood Mage pretty much going to be running out of mana here as he's trying to, well, find a place to retreat back to. Spellbreaker's now trying to lead the charge here. Rifleman can perhaps try and attack back the other way as we see a Stormbolt go down onto the Blood Mage. Blood Mage perhaps needs to give mana to the Mountain King. No, Archmage now getting drained away again. And it looks like the yellow's level 1 Mountain King has made enough of a difference to try and fight back here. Stormbolt onto the Blood Mage. Blood Mage could be in some problems. All right, there's a Holy Light saving. There's a Banish right there. Mountain King needs a little bit of mana. Could get a little bit of mana from that Blood Mage as the units are still retreating back. There's some more Siphon mana. There goes a tower here as both sides are still fighting once again. Yellow going to be finishing off a priest here. Tekko going to be finishing off a priest here as the riflemen are still trying to fight back the other way. There's a big Holy Light. Paladin with level 2. Oh, no, it has Divine Shield in addition to level 1 Devotion Aura as the Mountain King trying to come back the other side. Stormbolt onto the Archmage. Archmage is really not in danger of falling right now, but just trying to put pressure on the Archmage who still has a potion of healing. Perhaps going after the Archmage is not the priority target. Picking off some of these other units as well could be extremely helpful. Taking down some of these footmen or peasants, as well as the Siphon mana link is broken once again. All right, there goes another Spellbreaker there. Mountain King could come back the other way. Stormbolt or finishing off that Sorceress. That's going to get lost once again as Riflemen are trying to reinforce as well. All right, the lines are really not clearly drawn at all. Mountain King, well, needs to perhaps try and protect some of these units. That Rifleman, well, taking the long way around, just suffering quite a bit of damage as the Footmen throw up the Fen only to bring it back down and chase a bit better. All right, coming back through. Scout towers are getting constructed again. Yellow is holding on barely. He needs to get up some more farms here. He's lost quite a bit and is now supply blocked at 42 supply and unable to train up any additional units. Also low on lumber as well. So quite a handful of problems as he needs to get more workers in order to, well, get his economy and his base back up and running. Double queued up on the barracks here, not going to really help out until farms are built. Perhaps a couple of the spells will finish off some of those water elementals as we see the Altar of Kings now getting taken down. All right, little bit of damage here. Perhaps Blood Mage can siphon some mana. Yellow trying to push back the other way. Priest need to heal back as we see some Holy Light going down again. All right, some Priest suffering a little bit of damage. Mountain King could just Stormbolt try to pick apart this army little by little as we see another deny by blue. 57 supply compared to 42. Level 4, level 2 compared to level 4, level 3, and a level 1. Riflemen now going after the targets here, perhaps trying to take down these towers before that last one gets up and operational. Archmage is still able to drop some water elementals here after all this time as the Mountain King comes down with a Stormbolt and now going to siphon mana away as well. All right, we're looking at the Blood Mage pretty much going to be out of mana here in just a moment. Blood Mage still fighting their way through. Blood Mage needs to perhaps give mana back once again, perhaps try to heal up more of these units again and again as that Priest, well, suffering too much damage and then ventures forth once more. Both sides firing back and forth. Perhaps some Dispel Magic. Mountain King leads the charge. Stormbolt out of mana now as the Water Elementals are still able to dance back over here. 46 supply over 42. One farm was constructed and then another lost here as the Mountain King, gets Holy Lighted at the last possible second. Somehow still able to stay alive. All right, plenty of footmen still looking to engage here. And the riflemen not good against the spellbreakers, not good against the defended footmen, only good at trying to take down all the sorceresses and the priest in the backline spot as that Mountain King levels up and gets a Holy Light only to get shut down finally. All right, Archmage losing mana rapidly again, but these arcane towers are causing problems as the Paladin is unable to do very much. Multiple priests still trying to keep this army alive as the riflemen turning back around, trying to finish off these lower hit point or these footmen who have defend and are reinforced with priests and their heals. Without the Archmage's Brilliance Aura, these priests are just constantly low on mana. And with the priests low on mana, that means, well, units are always easy to try and pick off. And now with the loss of that level 2 Mountain King, I believe blue has finally, well, regained its footing and its advantage from earlier. It looked like yellow, it looked like Lemes was able to perhaps get enough damage and force that Scroll of Town portal and find a way to get back into this game as water elementals are starting to slowly trickle back in to cause a bit of problems. All right. Archmage still can summon a couple more water elementals here. Paladin throws up a Divine Shield to break that chain here as we're looking at a farm being built in front to try and protect, as well acting as a little bit of a barrier from that Paladin's melee attack. Meanwhile, water elementals are still causing damage inside of the base here, and with yellow, no way to really fight back against this army. Spellbreakers showing why they're so much better than riflemen in this matchup, and being able to deal ranged normal damage and also constantly have a slow applied to the opposing army. Archmage sitting at level 5, Blood Mage falls, Rifleman falls, and that will be the game. A back and forth battle. Tekko almost losing it temporarily after being forced to use a Scroll of Town portal, but Lemes was unable to really capitalize on that earlier kill. If he had transitioned perhaps into some knights trying to deal with footmen, trying to deal with spellbreakers, able to deal more damage, but not having a front line at all, causing problems. Also, not getting a Staff of Sanctuary from the Arcane Vault, which could have been used to save a couple of low hit point units at times as well. Let me know what you guys thought about this game in the comments below.